In the next few days, I'd like to check each of my 5 hives for a viable queen and to see if any honey needs to be extracted. Unfortunately, today I got a late start. It's about 3 in the afternoon, a couple hours outside of the window where the bees are out foraging, but I'm going to make the best of it. As you can see, it's a windy day. I'm having problems getting my smoker started. Usually I can get enough shredded bath towels in there to get through at least one hive before it goes out. We're going to remove this telescoping cover. Underneath we'll find the inner cover. As you can see right off the bat, there are ants all over the inner cover. That seems to be a problem with those wooden hives, not so much the plastic hives. I give them a little puff of smoke, both at their entrance and at the upper entrance. And we'll get rid of some of these bees. Not that they're a problem, but they're just annoying. Pry up the inner cover and give them another couple puffs of smoke. This should send them into the hive and mask any communication they might have via the pheromones that they give off. Also give a little puff of smoke at the entrance, just so they know I'm coming. Unfortunately, there's not many bees on top, which is disappointing. The very top box in this particular hive is called the super because it's the uppermost box. It's a medium-sized box. The two lower ones are deep boxes, and the top box is filled with frames that should have just honey in them. And I'm checking right now to see if there are any that are full of honey that I can put in my extractor and later bottle. This particular frame is completely full of honey with a little extra honeycomb on the bottom of the frame. There's typically 3 to 4 pounds of honey on a full frame like this. I don't want to take the bees in the house with me, so I'm using a bee brush to swipe them off. I'm going to speed this up a little bit so you don't get too bored. And I'll pull out, I believe, 3 frames out of this hive that were ready to be extracted. The other ones weren't quite there yet. Perhaps another couple of weeks. I'm going to replace the frames that I just removed with frames that were recently extracted. There's honeycomb on the frames. The bees will repair the cells that were damaged in the extraction process. So within 24 or 48 hours, they'll be ready to put honey back in. Just checking to make sure I didn't put anything back improperly. This frame is being stubborn and just trying to get it in straight. Make sure I've put all the frames in, haven't left any on the ground. Now I'm going to pull the super off and take a look in the top deep box. See if I can find any evidence of the queen in there. It'd be nice to be able to see her, but that happens rarely. The smoke is very ineffective today because of the wind. So right away I can see there are a lot more bees in the brood boxes or the deeps. And as bees are wanting to do, they've built honeycomb and filled it with honey on top of the frames, which is going to get in the way a little bit later when I put the queen excluder on. But I'll explain that in a bit. As you can see, the smoke is having almost no effect whatsoever on this hive. So I'm going to scrape this honeycomb off, and as I do it, watch and see how many bees start taking flight just to swarm around my head. It's a shame they've done a lot of work to build this honeycomb and to fill it with honey. When I'm done, I'll just put this plastic container in front of the hive. The bees will scavenge the honey out of it and put it back in other spots in the hive. This particular hive has a combination of plastic frames and wooden frames. It makes no difference to the bees. I originally thought the plastic frames would be much better, but the wood frames seem to hold up just as well. This is a frame hanger that I built just to give me a place to put frames that I remove in a safe place and not put them on the ground where I might forget to put them back or step on them. So I'm going to pull some frames out, look for eggs or larvae or pupa. If I don't see the queen, that'll at least tell me that she's in and doing her job. Not as many bees on the frame as I'd like, but as you can see down near the entrance, they are starting to be a little bit more aggravated or agitated the longer I'm in the hive. Right now I'm just inspecting this to see if I can find any eggs or larvae. In the upper corners of that particular frame and the others that I pull out, there's just a small band of honey. Gives the bees ready access to a food source as they are working during the day or the evening or the early morning. I never did see the queen in this hive, but I did see larvae. So I know that there was a queen at least up until 4 or 5 days ago. Unfortunately, I don't see much capped pupa, so there's no impending new bees on the way out. But I see no evidence that they're trying to make a queen, which also tells me there's probably a viable one in there. Just take a quick look down between the frames to see if I can see the queen. Although on a cloudy day like this one, it's typically too dark down there to notice anything. If you notice, the color of the beeswax on these lower boxes goes between light brown and dark brown. That's strictly a function of foot traffic and the fact that bees have gone through the pupa stage and left some of their chrysalis behind in the cells. Over time, the beeswax gets almost black. So that's all I was going to do in that box. I saw what I needed to find. My smoker is all but dead. And now there's a cloud of bees flying around. I have to say this new sting-proof suit that I have gives me a lot more confidence than when I just had a jacket. I'm trying to clean off the top of this box so I can put the queen excluder on. Too many bees, so I'm going to brush them off. Watch what happens. They don't care for that, do they? The queen excluder is just a plastic grid that will keep the queen from coming up into the top box, because the only thing I want up there is honey that will be extracted and then bottled. The worker bees can get through there, but the drones and the queen cannot. Most commercial beekeepers just slap that down. Don't worry about how many bees they kill, but I'm trying to be careful. Same with putting the top box on. Put it down slowly, usually they get out of the way, but not always. Now we'll just speed this up because we're almost done. Beekeeper's job is often entails cleaning up beeswax and propolis, which is a type of glue that the bees make to cement things together and fill holes. So the hive is put back together, and as you can see, the front entrance is just covered with bees. This often happens when you're inside a hive for any length of time, and they'll be there until evening. And by tomorrow, any honey that was on that honeycomb will be gone and taken back into the hive.